to go back to the story of Dorothy Lawrence. You might remember Dorothy. She was the young woman travelling on her bicycle to the front line, where she dressed as a soldier to collect stories so that she could come back to Britain and pursue her ambition to be a journalist and an author. Dorothy was living in squalid conditions. She was drinking dirty water, and eventually she contracted septic poisoning. So she decided she would give herself up so she didn't risk the reputations and careers of the men who had helped her to get to where she was. So Dorothy was interrogated by the British. She was placed in a convent in Saint-Omer, where they tried to work out what to do with her. And then she was put onto a ferry, which was heading for Folkestone, from where she made her way to London.
In this big London city, I do not think that anyone felt lonelier than I. Just home from the front, I had nowhere to go. No friends knew that I had come back, and my own house had been let to foreigners. So here I was, home without a home.
Dorothy really was on her own. She was an orphan. She was required to sign the Defence of the Realm Act when she returned to Britain. So she wasn't allowed by law to talk about, let alone to write about her experiences on the front line as she'd wanted. And those experiences were of a woman on her own, on the front line amongst huge numbers of men. Dorothy quickly exhausted the friendships that she had. She was moving from place to place. She had no home, as you heard her say. Her mental and physical health deteriorated. She had some early success after the war in publishing articles for newspapers, but it was short-lived. My general feeling is that people wanted to move forward after the war. They didn't want to dwell on what had happened during the conflict. They wanted to rebuild and look forward. So there wasn't really the market for Dorothy's stories as she'd hoped. In 1925, Dorothy Lawrence was picked up on the streets in London, and she was placed into an asylum where she spent the last 40 years of her life without a single visitor. But I don't think Dorothy's story ends there. Dorothy published a book somehow in 1919. And because of that book, we are sharing her story this evening. Like all of the women whose stories we've been sharing, there was that thread, that book. In different cases, it was different threads, but all it takes is for somebody to find those threads and pull. I want to give the last words to Dorothy Lawrence.
What people think about me matters extremely little. Remember that I passed through the lines dressed as a girl, that I lived amidst a French army and within an English camp, that I lived 2 weeks under fire as a soldier, and I returned to England without any cause for regret. From my own words, I stand judged. I hope that I shall be believed. Upon the wide world I throw this book, confident that truth will out. I have nothing to hide. I have told the truth.
You say we're a soldier in the war. It's You say you are a soldier in the war. It seems you were a fighter long before. At home without a home, nowhere to go. You turned heads, silenced for what you'd done. Only a woman. How can a woman go to war? Only a woman. How can a woman win this war? Only a woman. How can a woman go to war? Only a woman. How can a woman win this war? Who will remember? Will we remember? How will we remember? You say we're a soldier